Okay, hi all. This is Antti and I'm going to quickly show you how to use this Game of Life 3D application. So here in the top left corner we can easily toggle on and off sounds and music and also the color theme. In the latest build I added a couple of these color themes where the background is white. So if some users prefer the application looking more like this is also now available. Here also are a couple looks for the simulation cells. So if I change these, you can see that the simulation on the background changes appearance. And also here we have the simulation geometries. This cube geometry is the normal, what you can see. Also there's this galaxy geometry and this field simulation geometry. Let's stick with the cube geometry for now. And here are the continue button where you can go to the simulation, tutorial button which will show you this video, and also the support application button where you can donate something like €1 for the development of this application. Okay, but let's go to the simulation. Here we can see the Game of Life simulation going on, and it's 3D. We can see there are the simulation runs in many layers. If we go down to one layer, this is the basic Game of Life simulation, and if we choose rules which resemble those, we can see that the Game of Life simulation goes on like you may have gotten used to seeing. But if we increase the simulation size, the cells can also have neighbors on top of them and below them, and this changes the simulation quite drastically. I'm not going to go through how the Game of Life simulation works, since most of you probably are familiar with this, but let's just go through the settings. So here's the simulation speed. If we ramp it up, we can see the simulation going on much faster. We can disable animations and also the color flash animation, which means that the cells will flash in blue when they are being born and with orange when they die. If you change the color theme, these colors will be also different. Then there is the simulation size. This application will warn you if you are going on high cell count simulation size, but if you are running on a PC like I am right now, it can probably run maybe even 100,000 or more cells. It doesn't seem to be slowing down if I ramp up the size. For the cube simulation, you can ramp up each size pretty high, but I think for the field geometry and the galaxy geometry, quite low Y size is the best, because then you can more easily see what's going on. This continuous geometry means that all the cells will count neighbors also from the other side of the simulation. So if you are looking at a cell right here, it will also count its neighbors from here. 6 neighbor mode means that cells only have neighbors right next to them, so the corner-wise neighbors are not counted in this mode. And the separate birth and death cycles means that first it will count the death cycles and then it will count the birth cycles. And as you can see now, cells never simultaneously get born and die, but they are simulated like one after each other. Okay, let's see the other simulation geometries. This is the galaxy simulation geometry, and this looks best if we ramp up the X and Z size pretty high. And now we can see the simulation cells are oriented in a galaxy-like formation. And here if we toggle between these geometries, we can see how the galaxy geometry is built. So the X direction goes on in this spiral-like patterns in the galaxy. Z size is the radius of the galaxy and Y size is the height of the galaxy. In this field geometry it's much more complicated how this is orientated or built, so I will not go into detail with that. But if we also here, if we change between these settings, we can see somewhat what's going on, but this field geometry is quite complicated, so I don't know if I'm even able to explain how it works. But this field geometry is quite beautiful looking if you have a pretty high cell count, and maybe some simulation rules where, for example, every empty or every cell without neighbor gets born. We can see that this is quite nice looking when there are many births and deaths each cycle, and it's going to bring up all kinds of different patterns. And if you rotate it from a different direction, it's going to look pretty completely different. For example, from this orientation, it's a little bit like the galaxy, but it's much more complicated. Another or one very good simulation rule set is having cells with 4 neighbors being born, and if we put this minimum neighbor count above it and the maximum cell count below it, we can see that only cells with 4 neighbors will get born and every other cell will die. So in the simulation, if we put up the speed a little bit, we can see that this resembles movement in the simulation, since every cell that is alive now will die, and cells which have 4 neighbors right now will get born. So we can see here that the simulation seems to be moving, and this is quite interesting looking for me at least. And this works well in the 3D because now we can also have the neighbors coming upwards and downwards from the nests of cells. So this resembles something like a gas or something like this in a space. This is quite interesting simulation, I think. But this rule sets give like pretty much endless options how you can try to simulate this kind of thing, and it will produce pretty different results with every rule set. Also here is the percentage manipulator, which means that, for example, here now 100% of cell births will get instantiated, but if I put it lower, now it's something like 50% of the cells which should get born, so there's a chance that cells will not get born even though they should. And this is quite useful if you want to use a rule set which is not sustainable otherwise, so the simulation would die out. You can, for example, put the death chance low, so then we can have rule sets which would be impossible otherwise to sustain. But because we have these manipulators, we can have more varied simulation rule sets going on here. Now I put the deaths up and the simulation immediately dies out, so you can see how it works. But this is pretty much it. My previous tutorial was super long, so I thought this should be much faster or shorter. And now you basically know how this thing works. Also here is one new feature. You can press here and the UI disappears, so you can better enjoy the simulation going on here. I think it's pretty nice when you want to especially enjoy the field geometry, because this is much better looking without the UI blocking your view of the simulation. But if you have any questions, please leave a comment or contact me at greta.info@gmail.com, and also please leave a review at the app stores. Now this app is available for Android, iOS and Windows, so whatever device you might have, you should be able to start trying out this simulation. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.